MNFL, what's happening? We are back. Season 8, MNFL Rookie Review. We are back with our last and final segment for the Madden 20 cycle for this particular piece of content. How does it feel? Are you fatigued? Are you ready for a new Madden? Or you need time off? What do you need? We're going to get into the rookie review, and we're going to do a little bit of predicting as far as team selection goes, and we're going to get into a little bit of award predictions, and we're going to give y'all some quick and concise content. Hopefully you enjoy it, and we're going to wrap it up with maybe some standings, and see how people are faring this year, and see where season 8 is going to end up. We are in week 9, start of week 9. I think we got about a quarter of the games done, and we got our stats recorded up to that point for these rookies. And this class was definitely interesting, man. It was definitely interesting. I'm going to preview it now. The class, like I said last season, and I'm sure there are a lot of people that drafted wish they had these guys earlier on, because there are some difference makers. Definitely some difference makers in this particular set of rookies, man. And as you can see, the development is heavy. I mean, I don't know what Madden was doing. Is it random? Is it not? But there's a lot of talent. There was a lot of talent in the draft from a development perspective. Even though we don't use his abilities anymore, but at least from a progression standpoint, I mean, if you got high development, you will get better from an attribute standpoint way faster. So I mean, had the draft gone down, I mean, season 4, season 5, man, these guys would probably be game changers, difference makers, or whatever have you. But there's definitely was some talent in here, man. I can't stress that enough. But we'll deep dive into it and analyze these guys and figure out, who is the it factor guy and who might have been, who's got that edge as far as being rookie of the year, defensive, offensive, whatever have you. But let's start off real quick and we'll get into the Cardinals pick. They picked up Keenan Pickens, a cornerback. He's superstar development. Now, the Cardinals are a CPU team, so I'll let you look at the stats. I mean, we're not going to really get into it at this particular point. The Cardinals only decided to lead the league. But we will, definitely, point out the fact that he has a superstar trait. And he has completed all his snaps, and he has the stats. So he's playing out there for the Cardinals, they're a CPU team. So he's definitely getting his numbers. All right, so the first actual human pick of this draft was Keyshawn Isaac, middle linebacker, who was also superstar development. He is starting. He has 491 snaps. He's almost done his particular snap count as far as revealing his development traits. So he has 22 tackles up to this point solo. Mind you, all these tackles that are recorded here are solo tackles. They're not assisted or total tackles. They're solo tackles. 3 tackles for loss and an interception. So he's definitely man in the middle for the Eagles. All right, so I mean, from a deeper perspective already, I mean, just his attributes and his development. I mean, like, this guy will be a player. All right, so the next pick was another CPU pick. We won't, spend too much time on it, but as you can see, he is a superstar X Factor player. He is by the name of Marcel Griffin, left end. He plays. He has 443 snaps up to this point, and he has 7 solo tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and 3.5 sacks. So he's definitely getting a lot of work out there in Indy. All right, next up is the Vikings pick. The Vikings kind of fell asleep here. And he knew what time the draft was, but he got bogged down and let the CPU pick for him first. But they didn't disappoint. They got him a right tackle. I'm not sure if he was already good at that position already from an online perspective, but they drafted him a right tackle with a superstar development by the name of Sean Deal. And Sean plays because his development's already revealed and he's completed all his snaps. And I'm sure, by at least by the season end, I mean, he won't get the luxury of benefiting him for multiple seasons, but he's definitely going to be a player. We can see what his overall looks like at the end of the year, but he definitely will anchor that line for the Vikings for the rest of the season. All right, the Vikings have back-to-back picks here. So the next pick up, they picked up a wide receiver. And I believe they actually made this pick themselves. He picked up a wide receiver by the name of Mike Birch. Wide receiver, he's normal development, unfortunately, but he does have 10 receptions and 76 yards at to this point, but no touchdowns. So it seemed like he had a little bit of work out there, but he's not the main guy. All right, so the Packers were up next, and they picked up a quarterback. I think they were really ailing in the quarterback position ever since Aaron Rodgers retired. So they picked up a quarterback, and it seems like he was probably the best quarterback in the draft by the name of Joseph Wiles. He's a pocket passer. He starts. He definitely has 423 snaps up to this point, and he has 1,556 yards passing, 10 touchdowns and 16 picks. So a little bit of a growing pains for him throwing the ball in Green Bay, but he's definitely the heir apparent to Rodgers at this point, star development. And if he does line himself up for an award or two this end of the season, although it won't really matter, unfortunately, but good development will definitely shoot up. All right, the Texans pick at the 7. The Texans have an affinity for putting up numbers when it comes to drafting players. Like, their defense has always been stacked, and it seems like he always goes defense in the first round if he has multiple picks or not. He definitely, one of those picks is definitely a decent or a superstar type of player, and he didn't disappoint here. He picked up a cornerback by the name of Jamar Harding. He's superstar development. He does play a lot. He looks like he starts because he has 483 snaps to his credit. And he has 14 solo tackles, a tackle for loss as a cornerback, and a pick. So Jamar's definitely balling out there. Definitely balling out there for the Texans. All right, the Raiders pick was next. And this is the first pick that baffled me out of the entire draft so far. And we're down to pick 8, right? The Raiders picked up a defensive tackle. They let Maurice Hurst go in the offseason, who had been a mainstay in their interior line for the whole length of this Madden, however. They drafted a guy by the name of Garrett Jordan, defensive tackle, superstar X Factor player, right? But he has no notable stats up to this point. Now, he has played because he has 109 snaps, which tells me that he plays a little bit, but not a lot. Or he, maybe he runs only in some base packages, and then every time the Raiders go nickel or dime, he's no longer on the field. But definitely, a superstar X Factor guy that would have been extremely talented had he been, giving this guy more snaps or had him for longer. Like I said, it's very disappointing from a year perspective. I mean, just the way they do their draft classes, it shouldn't, it shouldn't take you 8 seasons, to get a decent draft class. I feel like this probably, from a first round standpoint, it's probably the best from a talent pool I've seen. In this course of doing these drafts. And I've been doing these rookie reviews for at least 7, 8 seasons, and just looking at the talent level, man, we've had some stars, but we've never had 3 superstar X Factor players in the first round. It's never happened. All right, so moving on. So we're gonna move past that pick with the Raiders, and the Texans come up next again, and they had 2 first round picks again. Somehow or another, him and KT seem to be the ones that always seem to be heavy in the first round picking, and they don't disappoint their picks either. They definitely have. I definitely give them kudos for who they picked. So they picked up a tight end, which is probably the most talented, not the one of the most talented, or not the most talented tight end in the draft. Kendrick Wilmby. Star development tight end. He does play a lot. He has 449 snaps to this point. So he's getting closer to revealing his development. He is star development. As of right now, he doesn't have any notable upgrades. So he's getting the ball slightly in that offense. He has 13 receptions up to this point, 145 yards and a touchdown. And I say that as a league as a whole, we're more wide receiver throwers. So the tight end is like the third or fourth, fifth option sometimes when you have good receivers out there. So you're trying to give him the ball, but it's not enough to go around, I would say. So so we'll see how Kendrick shakes out when it comes to season end and how he developed. The Dolphins were on auto. They the computer picked for them, so they picked up a defensive tackle by the name of Mac Durham, star development. He does play. He does get all the snaps done at this point. 5.5 sacks and 5 tackles for loss, and he has 13 solo tackles. So he's definitely handling things in the middle for the Dolphins. Broncos were on auto as well. They picked up another cornerback by the name of Derek Parnell as if they needed another one. The quarterback, star development, 7 tackles up to this point, and 382 snaps out on that defense. All right, the Bucks pick was up next, and here comes another, crazy pick. And this was, selected by, an actual user. It wasn't an issue with the CPU picking. The Bucks picked up Cornell Hanna, halfback, superstar X Factor. Yeah, I'm thinking I've never seen a superstar X Factor running back come out the draft. Now that might be a first. So, he plays some. He has 307 snaps to this point, but he only has 252 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, he's definitely getting some mop-up duty. It doesn't look like he either doing running back by committee or he's sharing snaps. But one way or another, he's getting stats, but it's not a full-on workload like a feature back would probably get. All right, so moving on next will be the Titans pick. The Titans picked up cornerback by the name of Von Nolan, and he didn't cut him this time because his last first round pick he cut in the last draft. I mean, he didn't make it out of training camp. You know, he was actually sitting free agent. Didn't even put on practice squad. He sat him in free agents. I guess he just was feeling like he wasn't going to be a contributor on the field. But Von is a normal development cornerback. He doesn't have any notable stats. So I guess he's sitting deep down on the depth chart when it comes from a corner perspective in the Titans organization. But he definitely, you know, is at least playing for the Titans. At least he wears a jersey. He didn't get cut out of training camp. All right, so moving on to the Falcons pick. The Falcons picked up a halfback, star development halfback by the name of Ashley Carr. Ashley has 152 yards rushing at this point, 2 touchdowns, and 348 snaps under center. And like I said, star development, no notable upgrades for him. And he's definitely getting some carries behind, I want to say Arthur Christie, who I just witnessed pull up an upset against not the Bengals, but the Browns in the game that was streamed a little more earlier, which was a heartbreaker of events. I apologize, brother. I mean, that was a EA heartbreaker. You know, I think New Edition need to come up with a new song called EA Heartbreak, because that's what they be doing to folks, man. Like, you know, just to caveat it real quick, just to take a quick segue, that the Browns were, you know, on the move. You know, they were up 7 on the move, getting ready to at least get another field goal and be up 2 scores, maybe not, if not a touchdown. And a fumble happens, and and they immediately scored, tied the game up, and then it just all went down here from there. It went to overtime. But crazy offensive pass interference call happened against the Browns that pushed them back and caused a punt. I want to say, I think he caused a punt on that particular play, he got the Falcons got the ball, they punted and pinned them back on against the 2, and they were backed up, and I guess he kind of got nervous in the pocket, didn't want to take a safety, so he threw the ball, and the middle linebacker picked it off for a pick 6 for a touchdown and the game. EA heartbreak. That's all I'm gonna say. But getting back into the rookie review, I don't want to deviate too much, but yeah, Ashley Carr is definitely, you know, taking some snaps from Arthur Christie. He's trying to take, you know, so he's not getting the line share, won't wear his body down, so he's definitely, you know, a good backup for Arthur Christie. All right, so the next pick was the Ravens pick. The Ravens with wide receiver in this draft. First round, they pick up a guy by the name of Kari Floyd. He's star development, wide receiver, 380 yards at this point, 6 touchdowns, 440 snaps that he's recorded up to this point. So he definitely does start and get the ball fairly well. Lamar's, you know, trying to get the rock to him out there in Baltimore. And a surprising, I want to say 7-1 start for the Browns. I mean, not for the Browns, but the Ravens. And we're going to see how that shakes out, because, you know, at times past in the quarter pole or the halfway mark of the season, the Ravens are looking good, and they fought that in, so we'll see how that shakes out at the end. All right, so next pick was the Jets. The Jets picked up a tight end. They were looking, trying to fill a need they had on the offensive and get themselves another offensive weapon that's going to man the middle, and they picked up a tight end by the name of Brian Rayner. He is star development, but the trick about that particular situation is he don't have any stats. So, I mean, is Bucky Hodges and other guys taking away plays from him, or he just not throwing the ball to the tight end? Yet again, I mean, he has 2 good receivers out there, Evans and Anderson. So maybe just there's no room for the tight end to really get the ball in his offense. But he does have 87 snaps, so he does play sparingly. Maybe in those power sets he gets some work, but he hadn't caught the ball yet. All right, next up was the Patriots pick. They picked up a right end by the name of Kifri Black. Kirfi, I don't know, something like that. Yeah, I see it. But, you know, another guy that plays sparingly but doesn't have any notable stats. He does have a few snaps, but he doesn't have any stats. So he does play a little bit, but not a lot. The Redskins pick was up next, so not really a sexy pick here, but he's a star development guy by the name of Diego Morales. Sounds like a wrestler. Diego Morales. I don't know. Vince, check that for me. Is Diego Morales a wrestler? Yeah, let me know that in the comments. I don't know. I think Diego Morales sounds like a wrestler to me, but yeah, he's a center in Madden, so he's definitely a star development center, and he plays some, which is weird to me. Like, a lineman, either you play or you don't. He has 141 snaps, so how does that work? And it's definitely way more than snaps to be had in eight games up to this point, but how does that work? I don't know. But we'll move on to the Giants pick, their division mate. The division mate picked up a running back, yet another running back for Saquon's. I want to definitely not apparel, but definitely you know, to help him out. You know, to take some carries off his low workload. So Guy by the name of Nathan Goss, star development guy. He only has 9 yards rushing at this point, only 25 snaps. Well, he can get a lot of carries. I mean, we know the Giants have an affinity for throwing the ball, but they've definitely been running a little more with Saquon. But Nathan doesn't seem to be getting a whole lot of love. But we'll see how it works down the line. But hopefully, he can make some strides and make some impact on the field for the Giants. And they're doing well this season. So we'll see how it works out in the end of the road. And shout out again to my brother 5. Today's his birthday as I'm doing this podcast review. His birthday, man. Should give him a shout out in the chat. Happy birthday. And Corey Francis' birthday will be tomorrow. So give him a shout out as well on Monday. So yeah, we'll keep it pushing though. And the Browns picked what's next. They picked up a lineman, which as if they needed one. A Norman development lineman by the name of Braden Clifton, left guard. All right, the Lions pick was next after that, and they picked up a right end by the name of Desmond Roseman. Norman development guy who doesn't play at all either. So we're not gonna focus on that too heavy, So like I said, it's getting down to the deeper part of the draft. And, we're now at pick 23, and a lot of some of these guys hadn't seen the field, which is understandable to a degree because a lot of people had their roster set. These guys were just maybe just fill-ins if you had an injury or something like that, or something that might play a little bit, but not a lot. I feel like a lot of people just really didn't need a whole lot of talent, from the draft. So they were just trying to fill backup roles. So that's probably what those few picks were, and those guys really aren't playing. Which is indicative of this next pick. The Steelers picked up another front 7 guy by the name of Aldrick Walls. And Aldrick Walls not only does not play, but he's on the practice squad. This man is on the practice squad. So he definitely ain't seen the field no time soon unless he has some rash of injuries. And the Steelers are having some woes this season from a record perspective. So I don't think Aldrick's going to play. But, kudos to him for getting a check. So we'll move on again. Another guy that doesn't seem to be getting any love. Bucks pick up a wide receiver by the name of Richie Fulcher, star development guy. So which is odd to me. Like, you got a star development guy, I would at least try to give him some love. But he has no notable stats to this point, but he does have 205 snaps. So he's being on the field somewhat. He's had the snaps, and he's definitely not getting any love. All right, so up next was the 49ers pick. They picked up another running back. I think they let Tevin Coleman go in the offseason, which I believe he is in. I have to check. I feel like he's playing for the Lions now, maybe. I could be wrong. But yeah, so they wanted another backup for the guy they drafted a couple of seasons ago. So they got a backup running back by the name of Russell Elliott, halfback. He's normal development, so he does play a little bit. 321 yards rushing so far and 7 touchdowns. So he's getting a lot of goal line carries. So maybe he's a power back. You have to look it up at his stats, but he might be a power back. But he's definitely getting a lot of carries in the red zone because he's definitely got 7 touchdowns. All right, so the Bears pick was up next. They pick up a lineman by the name of Timmy Vogel, another guy that's no development, doesn't play. And, what can you say? So I guess that was just more of a depth pick if somebody got hurt. The Chargers pick was next. They picked up a backup quarterback by the name of Elijah Stocker, star development, doesn't play. I mean, Bradley Cobb is the starter, and he's going to be the starter unless, God forbid he gets hurt. And, somebody, Derek Carr or somebody else might step in. But he was just maybe a depth pick for the Chargers. The next pick was the Bills pick. They picked up a wide receiver by the name of Myron McLaughlin. Again, the guy doesn't play, but he's star development, though. You pick up these guys are beasts, from a development standpoint out the box, young guys. And, they just not seeing the field because just got too much talent out there on the field right now because, the depth is high down. People money finally getting right at the end of the season. All right, so the Saints pick was up next. They picked up an interior guy lineman by the name of Ellis Burton, D tackle, star development. 99 snaps that he's taken so far, but he doesn't have any notable stats on him. Maybe just edge rushers are getting most of the love, and he hadn't got any push up in the middle yet because he's filling in for Damon Locke, who was traded to the Cowboys in all season. He's X Factor. He traded to the Cowboys for, I believe, this first round pick. So Ellis is definitely filling that void. So hopefully he'll be able to fill those big shoes that he's, trying to, who was drafted for. He was drafted to fill those big shoes. Hopefully he can do it. All right, so the Jaguar pick was up next. They drafted a cornerback by the name of Kelvin Teal. He is star development. He has 6 snaps. This is weird though. He has 6 snaps, and out of 6 snaps he's got 2 tackles and 2 tackles for last. So you might want to play that guy a little more. Like, if it seems like when he touches the field, he gets the job done. Like, that's just my estimation. But moving on, we're gonna wrap up with these last 2 picks. And the Panthers picked up a right end by the name of Robert Smiley, star development guy. He definitely plays, and he's completed all his snaps, and he has 9 tackles solo at this point, 4 tackles for loss and 3 sacks. So he's definitely getting work out there in that Panthers defense and that interior line. You know, you got them good edge rushers on the end, but those ends and these tackles are definitely getting some work now too. So, you know, we'll see what the Panthers do, you know, come playoff time, but you definitely got a good one there at the 31st pick. All right, and the last pick, go in 32, went to Caleb Phillips for a wide receiver for the Chiefs. He's another guy that normal development, and he wound up on the practice squad. There's just too much depth in the wide receiver room in Kansas City for him to play outright or be on the active roster. So he's sitting on the practice squad, unfortunately. But hey, you know, it is what it is. But that'll wrap up the actual, you know, rookies. You know, like I said, there was a lot of talent out here, but you know, it's one of those things where I don't want to say it's too little too late, but you know, it's that I'm sure a lot of people would wish that if they had these guys longer, they could have definitely did something more with them than they are allowed to in one season. All right, so we're gonna shift the gears real quick and go over the leaderboard. As effective as of right now at 11 p.m. on Sunday night, this is the leaderboard I have. All right, so we have at the number 1 spot right now, we have Kevin with a total of 113 wins. I coming in at the second spot with 112, technically tied with Jokey at 112 as well, but I had more playoff wins than him, so that's typically what the tiebreaker is, playoff wins. And if the playoff wins match, or if there are no playoff wins in the, they can break the tie, we'll do head-to-head wins, but I don't think we have that coming up just yet. It might be later on down the line that we got the deep dive in, you know, to break ties for total wins if your wins match and your playoff wins are null and void. But so Jokey technically third, Joe is fourth with 97 total, KT with 90, Vince with 90 as well. And actually that needs to switch because Vince has one more playoff win than KT does, so technically Vince will be slightly ahead of KT at this point. Then we have Coach with 77 wins. We have Ty with 76. We have Brandon with the Jaguars at 74. Proto with 73. Burf with 72. D-Bev with 69. Theron with 68. Corey with 68 as well, but Darren has more playoff wins. 62 with B-Main. Rail with 56. Maisie 52. Justin 49. Will 47. Los with 46 and 5 with 46. But they both have no playoff wins, so we have to probably, if the season is finished and it's completely done and we calculate it, and if they both tied, we will go to head-to-head wins if neither one of them makes the playoffs. All right, so moving through that, we're going to go with the Bills at 22 with 45 wins, and Jaden with 39, Devin with 38, and he's technically tied with Rashad with 38 as well. I'm sorry, Jaden has 39 and Devin has 38. Yeah, so there was one. So Jaden's the one ahead of him. So Devin has 38, Jaden has 39, Strad has 28, Perp has 25, Dan has 17, which isn't completely updated. Let me check that up real quick. 17, Hood with 12 and JP with 12, and Ace following up the rear with 7. So you know, at the end of the day, that's how it would be. But we have 8 more games to play, I believe. So you know, we'll add them up, and you know, once the season and the Super Bowl is completely done, and we'll get the final tally out there so people know where they stand and where they're picking next season. So yeah, that was it for that. So that was a quick rundown of that. Go do predictions real quick, so you know we can see, get a feel with people are at, from a award standpoint. So right now, Nick Chubb is leading the vote for MVP. And AFC is also leading the votes for Offensive Player of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year is Myles Garrett. The Browns are definitely doing work out here as far as the awards concerned. So right now, Kari Floyd in the AFC is leading the awards for Offensive Rookie of the Year, which makes sense because he definitely has been getting the ball a lot. And Lee Reed, who was a rookie for the Browns, who wasn't drafted in the first round, obviously is second. Defensive Rookie of the Year is McDermott. How we underscored him earlier. He's definitely a guy that's making waves out there. Although the Dolphins don't have a really good season, he's definitely one of the players that's definitely making noise as far as getting numbers and stats. And Marcel Griffin is another guy we highlighted, and he's second overall in the voting right now. So they're fighting for that award. We're gonna skip over best quarterback because week 9 is always the shovel. They don't have the accurate numbers that will depict what is what, but we'll skip that for now. Best running back, by no surprise, Nick Chubb, followed by Todd Gurley. Wide receiver, Curtis Samuel, followed by Odell Beckham and Dave McLaughlin, and Deshaun Sparks at number 4. Best O-lineman right now is Thurman Kroon for the Chargers, and then followed by Orlando Brown Jr. D-lineman is Myles Garrett, followed by Trey Price. So the Browns have 1 and 2 locked up right now for the best D-lineman. As linebacker, we have Devin White, followed by Jared Garrison. Everybody knows Devin White's name, but Jared Garrison is a force to be reckoned with. I have to face that guy twice a year, and he's the problem. Like, I have to make sure I know where that guy is at all times, or he'll cause problems. Best DB right now is J.C. Jackson for the Patriots, followed by Clinton Forbes for the Browns, and followed with Fred Williamson and Adoree Jackson. Best kicker right now is Houston Platt for the Ravens, and followed by Michael Badgley's number 2. In NFC, NFC, we just did AFC. NFC, Saquon Barkley is leading offensive player of the year right now, coming in at number 1, and Matt Breida is number 2. Defensive rookie of the year is Luke Miles, to no surprise. That's Mr. Lurker, all world, cover the middle, everything, for the Lions. So that guy is definitely a beast, 99 overall. And Montez Sweat is coming in number 2 right now, defensive player of the year. Offensive rookie of the year is interesting. Russell Elliott, I did point that out earlier in his stats. He has 7 touchdowns. So he's definitely, a guy that's trying to win that offensive rookie of the year award, and he's getting a lot of goal line carries and nothing else. So he's definitely putting up numbers from a touchdown perspective. And followed by Cornell Hanna, another guy who was drafted in the first round that is seen to be getting a lot of work. Defensive rookie of the year, to no surprise, is Keyshawn Isaac, that beast that the Eagles got, the middle linebacker, and you saw his stats earlier. He's definitely putting in a lot of work, and he's definitely looking to win that award so far. He's at 80 overall right now. And Robert Smiley, who we also talked about earlier, he's number 2 for the Panthers. All right, so we'll skip over quarterback once again for the NFC, but Saquon Barkley is leading the pass running back, followed by Matt Breida and Ezekiel Elliott, which is, I'm sure, to nobody's surprise, because it's one of the best running backs in the NFC. Wide receiver, Terry McLaurin. McLaurin. I always get my last name mixed up. Terry McLaurin, or Scary Terry, as a lot of people call him, for the Redskins. He's leading the league right now as far as the best wide receiver, followed by DJ Moore and Tyreek Hill. And coming up in number 4 would be Calvin Ridley. That's offensive lineman, to nobody's surprise, is a Panther, and it's Adrian Younger, 99 overall guy for the Panthers. And number 2 would be Antoine Stoudemire for the Lions. Best D lineman, to again nobody's surprise, I'm sure if you play in the NFC, is Alex Booker. The Lions got a good defense, man. And sleepy. They're 7-1 as of right now at the 8 game mark. 7-1, and Alex Booker and Luke Miles are a problem on that defense. And Aaron Donald's number 2, which is, I'm sure that shocks no one. So that could be 1A 1B for me, from a stat perspective and how well they play on the D line. So we'll see who wins the award, but it's going to be a tight race. Best linebacker is Kevin Thurston, the edge rusher from the Panthers, 99 overall guy. And Montez Sweat, another edge rusher from the Redskins. They're fighting it, and Luke Miles coming up at number 3 for best linebacker right now. So we'll see how tight that race tends to be and will be, and the end game will be who wins the award. Best defensive back right now is Travarius Moore for the 49ers. And Damon Stewart, another Lion on that defense, is coming in number 2. James Floyd for the Rams is number 3, and David Long for the Rams is number 4. The Rams got a pretty good secondary out there. They definitely balling out there. And finally, the best kicker right now is Harrison Buckner for the Bears, followed by Rick Burks for the Saints. Yeah, so that'll wrap up the awards. We'll take a quick look at the standings before we get out of here, and see who's where and who's what, and what predictions we might have going for the last half of the season. So that's what was actually in standings. So let's see here. All right. So for right now, we're gonna do the NFC first. All right. So the Panthers are 7-1, the Lions are 7-1, the Giants are 6-1, the 49ers are 6-1. So that would definitely round out who the division leaders are, because it's all different division people right now. They're all 1-loss teams. The Saints are 6-2. The Cowboys are 5-2. The Bears are 5-3. The Seahawks are 4-3. I'm sure everybody remembers that prediction, a bold prediction coach made about who was going to win the NFC West and who was going to make the playoffs in the West. So 4-3. We got some work to do, buddy boy. All right, and the Redskins are 5-4, and then round it out with a 500 team, and the Rams is 4-4. All right, so we got the NFC taken care of. So we're gonna go to AFC real quick. The Titans are 7-0, undefeated. It's up to this point. Hadn't played the game this week yet, but they're 7-0. The Browns just lost a heartbreaker, so that's 7-2. The Chargers are 7-1. The Ravens are 7-1. The Patriots are 6-1. The Bills are 5-2. The Chiefs are surprisingly 3-4, but I think they took a bunch of sim losses that put them in that particular point. And the Texans are 3-4 as well as the Jets are 3-4. Alrighty, so if we had to, if we were betting men, we would say that the Titans, down the stretch, how would they fare? I think, because they play in a second place schedule because the Jaguars won the division last year. It might be, to say that they will take the division, and will they, if all bodes well, they probably would be, definitely, in a 1 or 2 seed when it comes to, the playoffs is concerned. I mean, I would hate to see him, squander this opportunity of being undefeated right now. But, he did say on the podcast that he wasn't playing this year. So if that was true, he would probably be the 1 or 2 seed. And I think it'll be a toss up outside of that between the Chargers and either Ravens or the Browns, depending on how that division shakes out, because it's always black and blue in that division. Whether or not the Browns or the Ravens actually take the division, because like I said, they took a hard loss, but I'm sure the Ravens got to play the Steelers and the Browns one more or 2 more times before the season's over. So we'll see how it shakes out, but I would say my money's on the Browns to take the division. So that would lead me to believe the Chargers hold serve that they will probably be the other home field bye week team. The Browns would be the 3 seed, and that would make either the Bills or the Patriots the 4. And then you got a wild card. I'm never going to count the Chiefs out as being a wild card. And then there may be, if at all possible, between the Patriots and the Bills, or the Ravens and the Browns, who'll be that second wild card. That's what makes it interesting, though, how this is going to shake out, because I would say that outside of the Chargers and the Titans being locks for the playoffs, the Browns, the Ravens, the Patriots, the Bills, the Chiefs, all of them, either got to win a division or hopefully they got a better record than other people to get that wildcard spot. So we'll see how it works. All right, so the NFC real quick. I would say the Panthers hold serve. They definitely got that win out the way. I think they beat Dallas already. And that has always been a nemesis. And then the 49ers never seem to beat them. So the Panthers, I would say, will hold serve. The Lions right now are looking good. They're playing good ball. The Giants, if they can not flounder, like they did, at the end of the last season, they can hopefully hold on to the NFC East lead. But I would bank on the Cowboys and the Saints probably being the wild card teams. So, and I hate to say, coach's prediction was probably wrong, but the 49ers will probably hold on to the division and be that other team that wins the division and be in the playoffs for the represent the NFC West. So, but if I had to pick, though, I would probably say the Panthers would definitely be a home field team. Probably have the number 1 seed, and I would put my money on OG. Put my money on OG, KT, and be the second one that wins the first round bye. And the Lions and the Giants will probably be the other 2 wildcard teams, the division winners, and then the Saints and Cowboys would be the wildcards. All right, man. So that pretty much wraps it up. I'm thinking about doing a segment. We could discuss it in the chat. So tell me what you guys feel about this, but. We getting to the end of the season, the Madden cycle for 20, and before we ramp up for 21, maybe do a collective effort and try to do a showcase on who were the impact players for the whole entire Madden 20 cycle. Who was the best quarterback and who was the best running back. Maybe do like a top 3 to each position. And give everybody's feedback on who was the best and who was the ones that made the most noise throughout the entire length of the Madden cycle. A few names come to mind, Sean Abraham, Melvin Gordon, all the wide receivers from the Panthers, and, Tyreek Hill, of course, Joey Bosa, Luke Miles, Alex Booker, all those guys, safeties, trying to think safeties come, and all the cornerbacks from the Broncos, although they never made the playoffs, all those superstar X factors they got out there, so just let me know what you feel in the chat, as far as how y'all think that feedback will go. And how that would go, as far as, content for the end of the year. But outside of that, man, I think we covered everything pretty concisely and pretty well. We didn't go too long with this particular podcast, but we're gonna try to end the season well and get the team selection going for next Madden, and hopefully we'll have a little bit of downtime. We can test a new game and and figure out what we're gonna do for the next man cycle, and hopefully keep the energy going. But as of now, man, we're gonna wrap this up, and appreciate everybody's viewership, and always hit that subscribe button and hit that like, if you enjoy the content, and turn your notifications on so you never miss an upload. Our social media links are Twitter at the MNFL, YouTube MNFL Sports One, we're reviewing this video, and our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/MNFL_network. So follow us and subscribe to all of those channels, turn your notifications on so you know when we go live and when we post content. And man, we'll see you on the next video, man. Meantime, in between time, we'll holla. Peace.